It's 3 o'clock in the morning and we are trying to finish up a print. Matter of fact, that's it. Okay, so we have completed the print. 11 hours, 50 minutes, and 20 seconds. Taking a nap. I thought this was only going to be 8 hours, but no. And I don't know if this has worked or not. We'll see. Wow, look at that. Can you see that? Yeah, so I think we're gonna end up doing is letting this guy drip for a bit before we dry him off. So he is, you can see he's got, of course it's upside down, warrior dude. And this turned out good, I think. I think this turned out well. Ooh, look at that. Oh, those things are just coming off so easy. Oh, that is nice. Look at that. Oh, this resin is so much nicer. I had some E-Sun water washable resin, and there was no way on God's green earth you could do that with that. It would snap in a heartbeat. And these are just kind of just coming off here. Look at that. And they're so bendy. Wow. Now this new resin is this stuff here. Jamhe water washable resin, 10K. I was kind of worried about the prints that it did because the bases were so hard and brittle. You can kind of see that there. That was one of the prints. Those supports are nice though. I mean, for a water washable resin, there's no way I would be able to do that with the E-Sun water washable resin. That is just insane. Look at that. Wow, this is gonna be like crazy. So, let's see. Oh, this is so satisfying. See if we can zoom in a little bit. Look at that. Start removing some of these. Oh, look at that. Nice. Look at that. Oh, this is awesome. Let's see how well this turned out. I think we had we did. We lost a finger. So we'll have to get that. Okay, so aside from accidentally snapping off a couple of fingers. I still have some. Turned out pretty good for the most part. Okay, so there we got our model. Turned out pretty decent. So I'll just kind of dunk them in the water here. Water washable is nice. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of supports. But I mean, I'm just pretty surprised with it and how much you can bend this stuff, you know, before it snaps. I mean, look at that. There's no way that I would be able to do that with that E-Sun water washable resin. So this stuff here is, I'm liking it. I'm digging it. Okay, so while that's washing for a few more minutes, let's kind of show you around the studio, which is the hobby room, and it's not too exciting. So this is what I like. That came out kind of cool. I got that here in Korea. And then we have our paint booth, which we're trying out the airbrush. So we got some figures. Now this was made off of the E-Sun water washable resin, and it is so brittle, and I tried dialing it in so much. I mean, it looks good, but like these little top pieces, those will snap off in a heartbeat. So yeah, so we got our compressor, we've got our awesome, this is the Harder and Steenbeck Ultra 2000 or 2024 or whatever it is, the Ultra. This is really nice. It is nice. And with the compressor that came with this, it came with its own little, you know, cheap aftermarket one, which is, this is nice. And this is the cheapo one that I got off Amazon, which is the worst of the three, obviously. So we've got some other models that we had printed off. And this is with that water washable resin. And yeah, it's got some nice details and everything. I mean, as you can see there, but it is so brittle. Yeah, it's just insanely brittle. Let's see, you get the dude there. Most of these came off of Colts 3D. So, and then we have the Army painter set down here, and then we have some Citadel paints. They're strewn about it, and then we just picked up this stuff here, the Vallejo Airbrush Premium Colors. Spent some money on that, and then of course I got the little guys here that I've been painting up. This is my first. Is that the first? No, that's the second one I ever did. But these guys, this is the first time I've painted anything, which is like in 40 some odd years of, you know, doing models. So yeah, those turned out pretty good. So we got a few more of those. So yeah, this is the hobby room. And yeah, let's take a look at the dude. There he is, the dude. You can see it turned out pretty good. It's the Great Chief, missing some fingers, but that's why we got super glue. Okay, so while that guy's washing up, we'll finish that up. And then we're going to let that model sit for quite some time until it's entirely dry. What I've learned with the other water washable resin is if I didn't let it dry, I had problems as well. And there's other people that recommended and said, you know, hey, let it totally dry, and you know, make sure you get all the resin off, and you know, then you go on to the curing part. So yeah, pretty happy. And Let's go to the computer and I'll show you the settings for this water washable resin. This is this Jamji or Jamhe water washable photopolymer resin gray 10K, and show the settings for the Saturn 3 Ultra. Come on. Okay, so here is the model itself. We're using Lychee Slicer Pro, and this is the Great Chief. And again, I picked this off of Cults 3D. But you can see the number of supports on here is just insane. But the thing I recommend in my short little time of doing resin printing is referencing these pictures, because what you can end up doing is going through and you can find all of these little supports on here and use this as a reference and say, okay, well, there's probably going to be some on the neck, you know, some in the beard, you know, these little dots and stuff, to make sure to get those off. And then like on this thing in the back, this bone thing, I mean, there's so many of these little tiny supports here. I mean, you really just need something to reference to make sure that you're getting off what needs to be taken off. Now the settings for the resin, and again, this is the Jamhe 10K water washable resin, and here is the good stuff. So let's zoom in on the good stuff, so that way y'all can take a look and see. We have 4 burn-in layers, exposure time. Number of layers for burn-in is 4. Our exposure time is 15. Transition layer count is 6. Lift distance is 6. Now these are all recommendations from the company. Lift speed 60 and 150. I left this as whatever it was, 4 and 3. Retract speed 150 and 60. Weight before print is 1. Weight after print is 2. Light intensity 100. Weight after print might be able to take this down a second, because it says it would take 8 hours, but it turned out to be 11. So the layer thickness is 5 microns, 0.05. Exposure time is 2.4. That's the best that I found so far. Lift distance 6. And again, you can end up seeing for lift speed 80 and 150, 150 and 80, 2 seconds weight after lift, light intensity. The rest of this stuff was stock. The price for that was $24.25. So yeah, it ends up pretty good. And when you estimate the resin volume, and of course I did there's some suction cups, and so I blocked it off, but it ends up being $3.16 for this basically 5-inch mini. Said it took 8 hours and 17 minutes, but when I actually put it in there and ran it, it was like 11 hours. So it's a little long, but I think that's because of the wait time and the settings and things like that, that I recommended settings that I used from the manufacturer. But yeah, there it is. Good stuff. Okay, so there it is. There is the dude. So we're gonna let this dry for probably, since it's what time? It is 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll let this guy dry until evening, and we'll probably blow it out with the compressor and make sure it's all dry and everything before we cure it. But yeah, so far I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy, except for the fingers, but that's fixable. We saved the fingers, and that's what super glue is for. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Okay, so there you have it. What we ended up doing is printing with our new water washable resin, which is this here. And this was just kind of like an afterthought. I had dialed it in as much as I could, did some test prints with, the Amerilabs little guy there, and I said, well, usually what I ended up doing is I'll dial it in and then I'll do some smaller prints. But I said, you know what, let's just throw this in here and I don't know, see what happens. 11 hours, it's only 11 hours, so we'll see how it goes. but I'm pretty pleased, pretty pleased. So with that, again, like I said, what we're gonna end up doing is letting him dry, and then we'll cure him, and then we'll put his 2 fingers back on because he's missing this finger and a pinky finger. That's what we got. So the dude is done. The hard part's done. Now the harder part is going to be when I paint him, because I've never painted somebody's face before, so that'll be really interesting. So anyway, yeah, this is kind of a last minute type of thing where I was like, you know, maybe I'll record this so it's in this vertical mode here instead of the landscape or whatever. Sorry about that. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't awake because it was like 3 in the morning when this thing finished. So if you have any comments, suggestions, tips, put them in this thing down below, and yeah, I'll read them and we'll see how this goes. We'll keep abreast of the situation. All right, peace.